Let's talk about zoos, baby. Let's talk about those monkeys. Let's talk about all the lions and the tigers that you'll see. Let's talk about zoos. Welcome to HowDoWeHuman. This is the podcast where we talk about all the weird and uncomfortable micro moments in life. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Binning.
I'm one of your hosts, Evan Cox. I love that fully improvised song at the top there.
Fully improvised. That's right. Hit me up, Jessica McKenna and Zach Reno.
Yeah, Jessica.
I like to use the formal stage names.
Zachary.
So that they know I mean business.
That's true. Business. Full names are for business, Christopher.
Full names are for business. Evan. And I don't know if you know this, but the business we're talking about today is the zoo.
Hey now.
But first,
you're a zoo star.
I want to get into Evan's business. If you don't mind. Evan, how you doing?
Hey, me? I can't complain. I got some sleep last night, and that's nice. So I'm chugging along. The minor update, because I'm still using my CPAP machine. It's working great. Still getting a little burpy and a little farty, but not as bad as before. But the tough thing is, I woke up early today because I knew we record in the mid mornings, I'll say.
Yeah, it's a little brunch record.
A brunch record. I did have bacon and eggs right before we started, so it counts. You think you can't get bacon and eggs at a brunch? You're fucking wrong. You haven't been invited to brunch much, have you?
We do, by the way, recommend that everyone listen to this podcast with mimosas in hand.
That would help. That would probably help. But the I've got the full face mask, and it needs to suctions to your face, not super hard, but enough to leave lines on my face. And I've got the very delicate skin. I got the skin writing shit. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but it's a thing, and I have it. So it takes like a good hour for that to go away after I wake up. So it sucks when I have like morning meetings and stuff. So I don't know. I'm giving too much TMI.
TMI
in the literal sense.
In the literal sense. This is TMI.
This is too much information. Not in a horny way. It's just a little more information than you needed. I will tell a quick story.
Okay.
Because that was a not quick non sequitur. A long sequitur. And I can continue. I want to talk about the old dog park.
Yeah, woof woof.
Woof woof. Oh, well, yeah. What was the I forget everything we used to say. I think we judging by our faces, we both forget what we used to say.
I want to say that, it was, you would be like, I've got more tales from the dog park. And then I would go, woo, woo, woo.
It's pretty good.
Good.
We pretty much did it already. I do have more tales from the dog park.
Yeah.
Always used to go to the Silver Lake Dog Park. That's now like an hour and 40 minutes away, so we don't do that as much. I would do that drive to go to Disneyland. I would not do that drive to go to the Silver Lake Dog Park. But there's a dog park near where we live now. It's maybe less than 10-minute drive away, maybe even 5 minutes. I don't know. I never drive.
Yeah, you just get in the car and you just zone out until you get to the destination.
That's the thing. As my girlfriend knows all too well, I do. If I'm not driving, that's 100% true. I'm not at all paying attention to where we're going. I couldn't get there by myself without a map. We've been there like 4 or 5 times. I don't know where it is. I don't pay attention when I'm a passenger in a car. But
you're busy like sticking your head out the window.
Well, on the way to the dog park, you gotta get the wind in your jowls. But we've had unlike the Silver Lake Dog Park, it's not particularly busy, which has its pros and its cons. Generally, when we go there, it's either just us, which is not thrilling for the dogs,
Right.
or there'll be one other person with their dogs or two other people with their dogs. And it has just been a wonderful time. Everybody is so nice. We've met so many wonderful, nice people there. And we're like, man, mountain people rule. We finally hit that wall where we found the other type of mountain people. So we're talking to this guy. It's just us and them. This guy, he's got a cute dog, and we're talking dogs. That's the thing at the dog park. Everybody there loves dogs.
Yeah,
so you
must
got
love
something.
dogs.
You must love dogs to go to a dog park. Otherwise, you're barking up the wrong tree. But so we're just talking dogs, something everyone has in common, and it's great. He's such a nice guy. And then this other guy comes in also, and he's got a dog, and so we're all talking dogs. Things are going great. And then, so this other guy that came in, he's wearing a sweatshirt that says L.A., but with like skeleton fingers that make.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I'm not. I'm looking at a backwards image, so I did it. That's an LA. So skeleton fingers doing that, and this guy looks at him and he says, "Are those devil signs?"
Oh.
Like, let's see where this goes. And the guy's like, no, it just it says LA. And he's like, oh, because we were watching the Super Bowl, and that Taylor Swift, her friends with Ice Spice, and that girl's throwing devil signs at the TV the whole time.
Oh, I did hear this conspiracy theory.
All these people are in, like, it's the Illuminati, and they get money to do shit like that, to throw signs. And the other guy, who previously was like, no, it's just fingers that say LA. It's like, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and people don't want to believe it, but like when you really look into it, it's true. These two people just found each other, had the exact same conspiracy theory, and then the guy also brought out his beer. The first guy had hidden a beer. He's like, let me bring out that beer. It's 2 p.m. at the dog park.
Yeah.
Let's get crunk. But just going off and off, and then it immediately, I'm not, for the sake of our listeners' ears and sensibilities, I won't go into details, but I will say, after completely agreeing that Taylor Swift and Ice Spice are throwing out devil signs for money, it got soups homophobic. And we were like, okay, it's time for us to just walk over there. But they, again, both on the same page. Just two souls just meeting each other. And
it was a meet cute.
It was kind of a meet cute. It was a horrible meet cute of two shitty
There
people.
should be like a rom-com like that where like two just
monsters,
awful monsters meet each other.
So just an awkward situation, because as much as I am, not homophobic, and I like the idea of being the one that's like, no, stop that talk. You're being mean. I am not good at that. I get scared. And I leave. So we just walked away. So awkward situation. But then as I'm away, you want to get away from that conversation, but you also can't stop listening.
Yeah.
Like, where else is this going to go? And it went the last place I expected. I found out the initial guy is the father of, we're pretty sure,
Ice Spice?
Ice Spice. No, but similar, the singer of a very popular band, a very popular Southern California group. If you live outside of California, you've probably not heard of them. But if you follow like independent music in Southern California, I'll just say that they're almost number one. They're right there. That blew my fucking mind. And then I looked up interviews, and the guy never talks about his family and has said that he has a terrible relationship with his father. So
Interesting.
I was like, man, what a lovely full circle way to get to the end of that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he also gave out the vibe that he's there like every day. So
Oh, so sounds like you are going to make that hour and 40-minute drive.
yeah,
to Silver Lake.
the only dog park in between that and here.
The only one you know how to
Silver
get
Lake.
to.
I do. I could get to the Silver Lake Dog Park from here. I don't think I could get to I think it's in Crestline. I'm not positive. Chris, I've taken up too much time.
Yeah.
I told 2 stories, maybe even 3.
Wow.
I know. I'm selfish.
We gotta talk about the zoo.
But Chris, we gotta talk about the U first. How you doing?
Okay. I'm doing all right. Look, last week was like, I don't have very much going on. So I don't know what to talk about here. But this week,
Hey.
I have so many things going on
Me
that I
too.
don't know what to talk about this week.
I talked that much, and I have like 2 other things that I could have done a full "How you doing?" about. I don't know what happened this past week. Eventful.
I don't know. Eventful stuff. But I owe it to the listeners.
Okay.
To provide, as promised,
Ooh,
the HelloFresh update.
Let's go.
So, the gift that I had received was for, the free meals, excluding shipping. It was 4 weeks of 3 meals a week. Each meal it was enough for 2 people.
Yeah.
And so now that free trial has ended, I was able to get a better idea of what that cost would be. And it's basically to continue like another week of that, just one more week
level.
At that level. I haven't looked at the other plans really. But to continue at that same level, to get one more week of 3 meals for 2 people, it would be, including shipping, $70.99.
Including shipping, $70.99.
Yeah, shipping is like $10.99. So
it is right.
$60.
It is on that fence where it's like that might be cheaper.
When you do the math, it's really like you still would have to go to the grocery store for stuff. But
yeah. But if I'm buying,
averages out, maybe not enough to do it every single week.
Yeah.
But the actual math of it seems like a big number, but almost kind of feels like especially if you do a lot of like takeout stuff.
Sure.
Or Postmates
or
delivery.
Just cooking complicated meals. Like shit's expensive.
It is kind of right on that line of like, it feels like it's too much because you see it all at once.
Yeah.
As opposed to like seeing 3 different meals for $25 or whatever. Like,
I'd have to do some real deep budget digging.
Yeah.
Because like, for instance, I made a fine paella the other day. It was delicioso. But, I bought that with a bunch of other shit that we needed at the house. I spent $100.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of that I spent on the paella because I'm buying shrimp.
Yeah.
That costs money. Shrimp, not free.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's something that was interesting though. Was the final delivery that we got last week. So last weekend we made our last 3 of those free meals, and one of them, like every time it's all been, everything that they've delivered has been great. And then one of the meals, the little tube pouch of sour cream
Mm-hmm.
had burst in the
No.
bag. And so there's a little thing on the menu card that was like, is there a problem with your order? Like, scan this QR code and fill out a thing. And so I did it. And they were like, okay, we've given you a gift basically of like a couple bucks for your next order.
Oh, this is
See, this is how they get you. Because the
how they
other
get you.
thing is I've also earned, having received 4 deliveries, I've earned a free gift, like a free dessert for your next order.
Okay.
So now I gotta do this new order because I got a little bit of a tiny little discount from the sour cream, and I'm gonna get a free dessert.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
So whether or not I ever keep ordering from HelloFresh, or if I do it once a month or something, I don't know. But that is the update on
Wow.
the HelloFresh pricing.
And I'll say, because we do got to talk about zoos, that feels about what it has been priced this whole time. Because that felt like that, where I used to look at that number and be like, are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck? I'm paying $70 for 3 meals. Now, I can easily spend $70 on 2.
Yeah.
I probably, on average, do. I'd say on average at this point, it's like $35 a meal. Minimum.
Yeah.
And what are those meals mostly made out of?
Animals. Let's talk about the zoo.
Not the ones in the zoo. I don't eat those animals. Do I eat anything that's at the zoo? Let's start here.
Okay. All right.
Do I eat anything that's at the zoo? I've had like elk before. Is there elk at the zoo? Might be.
I think there's some types of elk at the zoo. Yeah, I've had ostrich once, I think.
I had gator.
Oh.
That might be at the zoo. Depends if they have a petting zoo area.
Right. Then you got your pigs and your cows and your chickens. Yeah.
It's fun. I was trying to make it sound good. I don't eat zoo animals. I just eat the petting zoo animals.
I just eat the ones that children get to see most often.
Yeah. Let them get all up close and personal with them, and let them get up close and personal with your insides.
Yeah. Do you like the zoo, Evan?
As we discussed last week or the week before, whenever we were just talking about zoos, I couldn't remember why we were talking about zoos, but it came up.
We were talking about zoos. I don't exactly remember why.
For President's Day.
It was not for President's Day. It was oh, you know what? It was for the classic episode, Rodents and Rain.
That makes sense.
Okay. Because some zoos have little rodents.
Some
little rats, little mice.
Some do. Yeah, I'd mentioned I've got those, and I think a lot of people have this, kind of those conflicting feelings of knowing. It's like anything in this world. You look it up on the internet. If you use the right search terms, you'll find conflicting information. And all you hear is like, it's not good. And you think about it. It's like, no, of course it's not good. Animals should be out there. But they do conservation stuff. And certain animals are only alive because the zoos keep them alive. I don't know what to believe. But if we strip all that aside, do I like going to a place where I can look at and or touch animals up close? Yeah, of course. Zoos rule. I love the shit. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, the same exhibit as
you.
The
same arc?
Yeah, there is. I mean, they need 2 guys wearing red on the arc, Evan. It's you and me.
And you can see that on our YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/@HowDoWeHuman.
But yeah, I definitely feel the like excitement of seeing animals I would otherwise never get to see.
Yeah.
I um I like the conservation element, but there is also like some of these animals in these zoos live pretty miserable lives.
Yeah.
So I definitely that part of it I don't love too much either. I also, though, something that I do love, and I don't know how much we've talked about this, because I don't think I've really realized it until recently. I mentioned a while ago I was getting into like videos on YouTube about like theme park design.
Oh,
um,
yeah. Love that.
but I love a good themed area of like a place. You know,
Hell yeah.
zoos sometimes have really interesting themed decor and restaurants and shops and stuff. Theme parks definitely. But I like going to a place that's not, you know, millennial gray and beige like so many buildings are now.
Millennial gray and
That's what I've heard it
beige.
referred to
I was just
online from those Gen Z bullies.
oh, they're coming for us. We
We both had to shave our heads because we were tired of the arguments about how do you part your hair.
you know what? Interesting. Again, so many fucking things happened recently. But on that note, really quick, we went to a restaurant. The waiter was this guy with long hair, and he was cleaning up our stuff. He was cleaning up another table, actually. And Jocelyn and I were joking with each other. She called me a dork. And the guy was like, "You call me a dork?" And she was like, "No, I call my boyfriend a dork." And he was just like, "Bald guys can't be dorks." Like
Wow.
it was a known fact.
Oh,
I was
interesting.
like, "Oh, all right."
I don't think that's true,
Hate
but
to break it
that's
to you.
interesting.
Have I got a podcast for you?
This podcast should be renamed Two Bald Dorks, right?
I like Two Bald Dorks. Two Bald Dorks is good. It's maybe a little more on the line of what this podcast is most episodes. But yes, I do love a themed, which also makes me think of Rainforest Cafe. Not to get off topic, but we've talked about that in the past. Just a themed area like that. The only thing that immediately comes to mind, like, I mean, even just on the barest of levels, if you're walking, which kind of morbid to think about, but you're walking around and they have like fake fossils and stuff like that, just like kind of plastic setup things to make it look like and give you some information. I love to learn. But the number one thing that occurred to me when you said that is, and this is hardly fake, so this kind of has nothing to do with what you just said, but the areas you walk in, those hot, humid, sweaty areas with them birds, and you open the door, there's butterfly exhibits. That's cool shit. I like all that stuff, but I do get wet.
Yeah, the when we were flying back from Bali, our connection was in Singapore. And the Singapore airport has like this big butterfly aviary. I don't know if that's what it's called when it's butterflies instead of birds, but basically that same concept. And yeah, man, you walk in there and it's like you want to talk about an atmospheric river like we're told we had here in Los Angeles. No, that's the atmospheric river. It's swimming through the butterfly exhibit.
It's thick.
Yeah.
Just instant. You're living in Florida.
Yeah.
That's a ride. That's what I'd call that exhibit.
You mentioned that you want to get up close and touch these animals.
Motorboat those animals. They're in there. I don't know why
I,
I did that.
I don't either.
But there it is. There it
But
is.
yeah, somebody you pictured an orangutan, and you,
Get me in there.
uh, I see. I don't feel like I really want to touch these animals
Okay.
when they have like. I think maybe the Phoenix Zoo has this. I'm not sure. Maybe even the San Diego Zoo has it. I'm not sure. But some zoos that I've been to, you can walk right up to the giraffes and feed them
Done
something.
it.
I just like I don't know. I don't want that. Get your big purple tongue away from me.
It's cool. Yeah, you just that was, I think I mentioned in that time we went to the zoo with our friends and their daughter, and we were mostly there for the daughter to enjoy things, but she wanted to go feed the giraffes.
until Evan starts motorboating the animals. And then...
She wants to go feed the giraffe, and it's like, yeah, Jocelyn and I are 100% getting in line to feed this. Are you kidding me? So we also got you get like half a head of lettuce, basically, just like, I forget if it was lettuce or it might have been cabbage, actually. Either way, you're just handing out a leaf. And they just walk over, and this black tongue comes out and just goes sloops around it, and then takes it from you. It's cool. I don't know. I've fed giraffes. I've fed emus in Solvang. Emus, ostriches.
Let's get this figured out.
I've fed ostriches. There's an ostrich farm.
Yeah, there are more ostrich farms in the U.S. than there are emu farms, I believe.
Ostrich farm in Solvang. Those guys are aggressive eaters. They'll take a finger. And I fed alpacas.
So you have to wear like special gloves? Like, what do you?
You gotta.
You just sign a waiver.
I think we did sign a waiver. I can't say sign a waiver without slipping into the Bare Naked Ladies song one week. It's so dangerous, you'll have to sign a waiver. I sang that like a country song. You get like a plasticky bowl with a long handle on it. And by long, I mean like maybe 7 or 8 inches.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Don't take that out of context.
Yeah, see, you started this episode by saying, TMI, but not in a horny way. And like everything out of your mouth since then has been undeniably horny.
Hey, it's Friday morning. It's got a long handle, so you just got these holes. Just stick the handle in.
Jesus Christ.
And then let them go to town.
Just say you went to an ostrich glory hole. Like,
yeah, basically, that's kind of it.
I understand why we got to beat around this bush.
But yeah, they come up to you, and it's like I don't know how to do it over audio. Well, how about this? I've got a piece of paper here that'll make a noise. So if this piece of paper is the thing, they walk up to you, and it's like that's how they eat. And the bowl is shaking in your hands, and they'll try to steal the bowl from you. It is funny. I liked it, and I motorboated them all and went on my way.
You're like, you think this is aggressive?
Get over here. So you're not feeding any animals?
No, I don't know. I like to observe. Much like at a party of humans, I like to just sit back and watch them play.
Okay.
The exhibits that I like. Yeah, I'll try. Hey, everybody, I got this bowl on a stick. Come on over. No, I like the exhibits that have like multiple animals that like to play around. Like especially, I love an otter exhibit where they're all playing around. They're sliding down their little rock slides, having a grand old time.
Ugh.
The otter exhibit is pretty underrated at most zoos. People want to see those big animals.
Yeah,
I like to see those playful little otters.
Number 1 and number 2, if they've got them on my list, is an otter exhibit, penguin exhibit.
Yeah, penguins as well.
We love the group activity. It's so fun to watch. They're so fucking cute. And
Yeah.
that's one that's like lasted my entire life. As I've like since I was a kid, I loved otters. I thought they were so fucking cute, and that never goes away. Otters are the best animals in the world. They're fucking adorable, and so are penguins. So
Yeah.
that's my shit. On the topic though of large animals, tell me if this has been your experience. Because even though
Okay.
it's not the number one on my list. It is the attraction. It is the what's on the sign outside. We've got Siberian tigers. We've got a grizzly bear. I don't think I've ever seen one of those, like gone to one of the big animal exhibits and it's been like, oh, they're out and there they are. It's either, oh, sorry, they're sleeping right now, or they're as far away from the people as possible, which I understand. I'm not complaining. I would be the same.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, what are people getting out of this? Do you
Totally.
have a similar experience, or have you felt like you've been close to a lion?
I don't think I've been super close to a lion.
You're a lion.
I mean I've seen them out. I mean the worst is when you go up to an exhibit and like it's empty because they're sleeping in their little enclosure in the back.
Fucking bastards.
I know. Um that's how you're gonna treat your fans. It's pretty disgusting. But I mean like I've seen them out like hanging out under a tree.
Yeah, sure.
Not doing anything. They're just sitting there under the tree, or they're taking a nap on a rock or whatever. But you can at least see them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say maybe this is at the San Diego Zoo because that's one of the biggest in the U.S.
Yeah.
Certainly in the West,
Good zoo.
western part of the country. But
Good zoo.
I think maybe I've seen tigers up closer, like up against those like full body glass panels that they have. I want to say that I've seen like the tigers kind of walk around near the glass there. It's also like it's a bummer when the animal is as far back in the exhibit as they can get, because that's definitely pretty common. But it's also like I get it. I like to be away from the crowd too.
I would also be back there. You're like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Enough with this shit. That segues to my general thought, which, so, I had my long time single days. I dated one or two people, and then long time single days after that. And that second single days period of my life was when I was like, I'm hitting up these pre-apps, the dating websites. I was on OkCupid, and I went on a bunch of dates. I've talked about this hundreds of episodes ago, and you don't want to feel gross about it, but you do start to get into a rhythm, and you get like a system of like first. I went 100% of the time. First dates, coffee, tea for me. That's
something
it. That's
low stakes.
Low
in public.
stakes. You're face to face. You're talking the whole time. That's great. Second date, you want an activity. The zoo is the perfect second date, unless you do end up suggesting it to someone that's morally outraged at the idea. But then I'm also like, we probably wouldn't get along that well. But a little bit, I understand. I feel the same. But a zoo is, as far as entertainment goes, because your other options like going bowling and stuff like that, there's competition, which can be fun for other people.
Right.
You've been bowling with me. That wasn't fun, was it? No, but like you and I could both be competitive people. I think we behaved okay on our date. But like, I can't guarantee with myself that I'm going to be fun to play with. And that could suck. A zoo, low stakes as possible, and there's room to talk. You're walking next to each other. I love it. I love the stuff.
You see those cute little otters holding hands in their little exhibit.
Yeah.
Like, that could be us.
Yeah. Like, you know how quick I could get over there and motorboat that otter? Break up that hand-holding club. I have a tail. And I also kind of, I mean, we called this zoos.
Right.
But, like, I want to include petting zoos, as we already discussed, and aquariums.
Yes.
Unless we want to do a whole episode about aquariums. But there is call it a petting zoo. I think I've talked about it maybe. Jocelyn and I went there a couple years ago, called the Gentle Barn out in Southern California. I forget where it is. It's near Santa Clarita. But it's a vegan place, so like all the food you're eating there is vegan, and all of the animals are rescued from bad situations. So these are scarred animals.
Oh yeah, I remember it was in the news once because they had, was it Jake Paul or Logan Paul's like animal that they had bought once because they thought it would be funny, and then they were like, actually taking care of goats doesn't work.
And there were a bunch of goats there. So it's this mixed feeling of like that was, you know, like any petting zoo, it's just open air. There's goats walking around, you can hang out with them. There's a couple of big ass potbelly pigs laying on the ground. I laid on right down next to them. I did lay down with them. But you go, it's like there's this air of sadness around it all. Because it's like you go over and there's this cow that's like a foot taller than me. And like, I don't know, just this gigantic, wildly over juiced up cow. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking sad. But you brush that cow. There's kids all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking goats. Animals jokes. There are children all over the place. And some of these animals are in like behind barn doors. But you can open those doors and go in and say hi to the animals. There's this pig in there, similar to the cow I just said, that because some science is bad, this pig is freakishly large. This pig takes up most of the barn. I don't want to I'm bad with measurements, so just imagine the biggest pig you've ever imagined. Laying down. Like, pig that doesn't look like it can stand up. Sort of big.
Okay.
And all the kids go in. It's almost like a tour. All the kids go in, and the adults are like, oh, pet the pig. This is whatever the pig's name was. And they're like, oh, and all the kids love it. Wow! You know, that's an amazing thing to see as a kid. And then the volunteer working there is like, do you know why? Let's call her Bella. You know why Bella's this big? And they're like, no, why? Well, kids, some scientists got this pig and they injected it with a bunch of chemicals, and they made it so big for their greedy needs. Just started getting super dark about it with these children that were just like, wow, a pig, how cool.
So does it have superpowers?
Exactly. But it's like, no, this is a scientific monstrosity. You should be disgusted.
This is an abomination to nature, children.
It's like, we know that. The kids don't need to know that. Yeah, I had to hold back
We
some.
keep this pig here so you can see the horrors of man.
Exactly, that was the vibe. And I don't want to paint all vegans with one brush, but sometimes it can come across a little aggressive. And that was the vibe at this place. It's worth a visit. It's very cool, but that was awkward, and I had to stifle some awkward laughter at like the last thing I was expecting her to say. It was like, I don't know, dark horror shit. But it's the truth. She was honest, and you got to be true to those kids. And I am talking goats.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't like a petting zoo, and I think mostly because
You don't want to.
I don't want to. I don't want to touch them.
Get them away.
But when we were in Ohio, there was like a dairy farm that also like has a petting zoo part of it. So we went over there and we saw, some of the animals over there. We saw some pigs laying down. We saw a bunch of horses and cows in their like little stable stirrup things so that they'd be held still when they get milked or whatever.
Milking those horses.
I don't know that it was milk, but
Milks, yeah. I guess yes, they are milking those horses.
But yeah, I mean, I don't love a petting zoo.
Yeah,
and I think part of it is like in a regular zoo, there's a lot more space than a petting zoo.
Yeah.
And therefore the smell is not as concentrated as it is at a petting zoo. So I mean, I don't love the smell of a petting zoo.
Yeah.
You mentioned aquariums though.
I sure did.
I do love an aquarium.
I love aquariums.
And I like, unfortunately, the last time I've been to an aquarium was during COVID, and I went to the Long Beach Aquarium.
Ah, yes.
And the Long Beach Aquarium was like, hey, almost all of our aquarium is closed due to COVID, but you can still pay us some money and
I remember that.
A pool of stingrays and the penguins.
I didn't go, but I remember looking into it because it was that's that period of the pandemic where it's just like, oh, you there's some stuff you could go out and do in a safe way, and that seems like a good idea. But I do remember looking that up and being like, cost the same, can't do shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely underwhelming. I've seen on like I'm sure on like Instagram or something, but
certainly.
And I don't know that this is necessarily even in the US. It's probably in like Japan or South Korea or something, but aquariums where like you walk through the hallway and like but the whole thing like you're in a tube going through their tank or whatever, and it's all you can see them all around you. That I love that shit.
You know where you can get that experience?
Long Beach?
Seattle.
Okay.
At Seattle Aquarium downtown. Jocelyn and I actually did that 1 or 2 years ago when we were in Seattle. I think 2 years ago. It's still so good. I just love it. I love an aquarium. And it is, I don't know. I could see someone being freaked out by that. And sure. I remember walking through it as a kid and being like, whoa, it is a little overwhelming. But it's like, there's something about, they keep aquariums kind of dark. And the sound of the water, it's just really relaxing.
Yeah.
I can walk around an aquarium all damn day. Yeah. Jocelyn actually showed me, because she loves the old animal TikTok. And she sent a video about manatees, which who doesn't love a manatee? And those are one of those animals I've always, when you go to an aquarium, they'll come right up to the glass. And apparently, they're just so wildly like loving and curious about people Like, if you are scuba diving or anything, you're in the water, the law is you're not allowed to touch a manatee. But if a manatee touches you, you have to let it. You can't kick it off or whatever. And so she's showing me these videos. Manatees will just like swim up to scuba divers and just slowly like grab their leg and just hug it for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes until it gets bored. And then it'll leave. I love that. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
Manatees are the best.
Yeah, and they're much like rarer to come across in different exhibit places. I think Florida has most of them.
Happens. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I gotta go to Florida.
They got those manatees at the Seattle Aquarium. I'm telling you, you gotta go.
All right,
We gotta
go back
there. We gotta go back.
This is not super related.
Great.
However, what I want to know is you, as a person from radio, how do you feel about morning zoo radio hosts?
Wow, okay. We'll go to morning zoo radio. You know, is morning zoo. I know that's been like, there are specific shows that'll say, it's morning zoo. Like, that's the name of it. But I know that term as a just like generalization for schlocky morning shows, shock jocks, and just dumb bits, call in shit. And if we're broadening it out to that, I've worked for one before. And what I think about them is they're bad.
Yeah, I had not heard the term morning zoo radio host until maybe last year.
Oh,
I was
okay.
watching like Dropout TV, formerly College Humor. They were doing one of their improv shows, and one of the prompts for one of the performers was a morning zoo host. And then, you know, some wacky thing to add on to the end
Motorboat's
of it.
an otter.
I think it was a morning zoo host who doesn't know or like keeps playing the wrong sound effects on his like soundboard or something like that. But anyway, like I had never heard that term before. And so when I saw the prompt, I was like,
gotta go.
What? I just thought it was like a tour guide at the zoo. Like I had no idea what it was.
That's funny.
But I did look it up, and it is, like you were saying, it's basically like a radio show that tries to be as zany and wacky and noisy as possible.
Yeah. I feel like one of the shows I worked for was pretty thoroughly that, just without the voices. You know, it's like, you know, we're doing it, but otherwise, yeah, it's the same thing. And the other show, which I worked for more more hands-on, was not that, but did use a soundboard with sound effects. So it's like, we're halfway there.
Yeah.
Whoa, morning zoo on air.
Man, we are killing these improvised musical numbers.
It's good. It's just good.
Jessica, Zachary.
But no, I don't.
Jessica or Zachary, if you do come across this, I cannot do your podcast. I can only do the Jason Mantzoukas version where I just sit in the side and talk to you or play a character, and then you do all the songs.
I am so scared.
Because I cannot contribute.
You know, speaking of off book pod, I know you're a fan, and I
Yes.
hadn't listened in a while, but a good buddy of mine used to listen to this podcast. But he's a big musical fan, and I recommended him off book podcast. And last time we talked about it, he's like, "Oh yeah, I never listen to your podcast anymore. I only listen to off book." I was like, "Oh shit." So we maybe need to hold back on
Yeah,
recommending
let's
off
hold
book to
back a
other
little
people
bit.
because it's better. Can't argue with it. So they're my rivals now, Zachary and Jessica.
It's rough because they, stopped doing their weekly podcast. So let's get your friend back over here.
Come on, get over here, Anthony.
More reliable output.
It's true. It's true. We are consistent. Consistently this. This is what you're looking for.
Are you looking for two bald dorks?
Two bald dorks?
We got it.
But I
remember that show, Two Stupid Dogs?
Yeah.
This is two bald dorks.
This is two smart bald dorks. We got to build ourselves up after last week.
Oh my god!
It hurt
the
our pride.
Shame that I've felt.
We've felt
from
shame.
last week has really it's only just now starting to wear off.
Yeah. Building myself
back up. That was a
back
rough
up.
one last week.
And hopefully when we take this quiz at the end, it'll feel better. But I will say on the Morning Zoo front, I did have an awkward situation where I needed to film something at work because that was my job. You know, when it comes to the radio, I was the visuals, ever important. And I needed to film something with a morning show host at 5 a.m. I'm like, this was during the time my car was broken down, so I was riding the bus into work. So they were like, you could probably catch a ride with this guy. And he's one of the people from the what I would consider moderately Morning Zoo, not podcast, but radio show. And so I'm like, okay, and you know me, I hate that idea. I'm like, I'd so much rather stay up all night and get on a bus at 2 a.m. to arrive to work at 5 than sit in the car with this guy. But it's like he was there when they suggested it, and he was like, yeah, sure. So it's like, yeah, okay, here's my address. Come and get me. And he's there and he picks me up, and he's got a nice car because he works for the Successful Show. So we're in his nice car and he's just listening to that. You know, he's listening to the worst morning show I could imagine, which is like the number one morning show in the world. And he's like, oh yeah, I hope you don't mind. These guys are so fucking funny. And they weren't. And that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't be a thing at all. But I'm in someone else's car, and they're playing this shit for me, and I feel like I've got a courtesy chuckle. Because he's laughing his fucking ass off. I hate this. That's my nightmare, and I lived it.
Yeah.
And I hope you never have to.
Yeah. I mean, there was a period of time where I was listening to a morning radio show in Southern California. Maybe it was even the same one that
I wonder
you heard in the car. But
maybe
for a little while, it was
for.
pretty entertaining. And then at some point, it's just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Some of those shows that are daily, but aren't about the news get so repetitive after a while. You hear the hosts saying the same things over and over again because they just have to fill the time. And so I stopped listening to that. And I mean, I don't really listen to the radio in the car at all anymore, except for, and this is not in the car, but in our workplace, we have the radio on. And when you work the morning shift, sometimes it's just like an insufferable morning show that people put on because apparently they like it, but it is just like the most hacky joke host with his female co-host. It's like, I think it's 2 women and 1 guy, and the guy is
hell yeah, brother.
sounds like, I don't know what his actual age is.
Yeah.
But the guy sounds like he's in his like 60s or 70s
Nice.
doing like hacky stand up that was dated, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the women is probably in her 40s or 50s and has the most annoying laugh I've ever heard, and does it directly into the microphone as loud as she can every opportunity.
That's the game.
And then the other one is like probably in her 20s, and it's all about like, yeah, it's so hard for you to date. Oh man. Like, just all around irritating.
You'd be shocked to find this is the format for the one I worked for also. It's kind of all the same show.
Would you rather go to a zoo and see all sorts of fun animals and walk around on a nice little date?
Yeah.
Or would you rather listen to a morning zoo radio show?
Listen, if I had the choice between going to the zoo, listening to a morning zoo radio show, that's easy. I'm going to the zoo. But if one of the options is I can host a morning zoo radio show
at the zoo,
get me in there.
Yeah.
Get me in there. Am I right? Am I right? Oh my gosh. There is something stupidly funny about using a soundboard and being an asshole. How about this little classic we pulled up?
Aunque... Cierto.
¿Ayudarte puedo? Sí.
No lo creo. Busco a un gran guerrero.
Ah, un gran guerrero.
So stuff. I just saw the title and was like, you know what? I remember us pulling that clip. And that was good. I edited that down, but just so you know, Chris and I just listened to that for like 3 minutes in silence.
Very long time.
The antithesis of what it should feel like on a morning zoo radio show. Wow, that was thrilling. You know what else is thrilling?
This podcast?
It is. I'm thrilled by it. I don't know if we learned much of anything, but go to the zoo or don't.
Go to the zoo, but also like,
you don't.
As long as you feel the guilt of going to the zoo, maybe it's okay.
Yeah. And listen to more of this podcast. It's HowDoWeHuman, the podcast where we overanalyze all the weird and uncomfortable micro moments in life. You can find it anywhere. We're on the old Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening. You can find us. And if you're having trouble finding us, try harder, try better, be harder. Leave us reviews. Leave us reviews. Leave us ratings. Say all the nice stuff. You can find links to all that stuff and talk to us further on our social media. And we're on there. We're on Instagram at HowDoWeHuman.
We got that handle.
We are on Facebook, also at HowDoWeHuman.
Also, that handle.
You can watch full video episodes on the old YouTube at HowDoWeHuman.
Watch all the videos at that handle.
This is good. You can also leave us a line, drop us a line, ask us a question, send emails. That email address is howdowehumanpod@gmail.com.
The best part of that handle is that it's an email.
Ring. Now to quickly point out that a little bit ago, while you were talking, I hit mute and had to blow my nose, and a little blood booger came out, and it was stuck on my mustache for maybe a minute. And someone probably saw that. So if you did,
congratulations.
You won $1, and I will send it to you soon. I promise.
It's time for trivia, Evan.
Is it Quizzles?
It's time for the little quizzle.
Let's do it.
Again, currently we're playing to 100, and the score is 13-12.
We're getting there.
And after last episode, of course, where you and I felt stupid for a full week's time,
Damn straight.
we really need to up our game here.
We got this.
All right.
I'm leaning back.
Question number 1.
Getting comfy.
The Liberty Bell is
Boom.
found in which U.S. city? New York, Philadelphia, Boston, or Washington?
Now, the only
Now-
thing that's... we both say now.
Sorry.
For me, my now is the only thing that'll make me feel dumber is being as confident in this as I am.
Yes.
And if it's wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that, I tend to wait for you to answer and then I answer.
You
So I will
swoop in.
say confidently. And I swear to God, I'm going to be so mad if I'm wrong. Philadelphia.
I also will say Philadelphia. It is interesting, though, that it doesn't say Washington, D.C. It's just the Liberty Bell's in Washington State. That I know is not true. Philly.
In West Philadelphia, Bell and raised.
On the Liberty Bell is where I spent most of my days. Being a hunchback in Notre Dame. That's where the Liberty Bell is. France. How many countries border Russia? Ooh, that's tough. 19, 8, 14, or 25. All right, let me think about this.
I truly have no idea.
Russia. I'm trying to picture a map, and that map is wonky as hell.
Yes.
It's touching parts of Europe. It's touching China. Some Middle Eastern countries. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 8. It feels like it'd be more.
Man, I was really hoping you were going to say something else because I'm also going to say 8.
Okay.
Because
Second
I think
guess
it's
is
trying to
14.
trick us
I don't
with like
think-
how big Russia is.
Yeah.
I think they expect us to answer a lot of countries. But all right, if we're
also-
both saying 8,
China's so big, those Middle Eastern countries are pretty large too. I think that takes up a lot of the space.
we were both wrong.
Okay.
It was 14.
It was 15?
It was 14.
14 was my second guess.
Me too, because it was the next lowest number.
Funny how that works. All right, we're tied still.
What is the name usually given
Oh,
to
lordy.
music composed between 1600 and 1750? Modern, romantic, classical, or baroque?
Baroque.
That's how the dean says it in
Yeah,
Community.
I remember.
It's kind of like when you said several episodes ago when we were talking about when somebody says, "I'm kind of going through something right now."
Yeah.
What do you associate? The word baroque I can only associate with Community.
It's the boring answer, but I'm going to say classical. I think baroque
Okay.
is way earlier, and I think romantic is also earlier. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm gonna say baroque. I have no idea.
Let's
I
do
know
it.
that you have a much better shot at this one than I do.
I don't know that I do. I just know I listened to music from that time period, and I call it classical.
It was
You
baroque.
got it, you bastard.
Community pulling through for me.
Bummer. Okay. Who devised the theory of relativity? Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Martin Klaproth, or Samwise Gamgee? Semmelweis.
Semmelweis?
Yeah,
You know,
I know this.
this is another issue where I feel like maybe I know it, but now I'm starting to question it.
I will say I am 100% confident in this, except that when it popped up, my answer was different.
What was your answer?
I know this. My answer was Stephen Hawking. My answer is Albert Einstein.
Okay, and my my answer is also Albert Einstein, but I find myself drifting towards Stephen Hawking.
Is it just because of the movie The Theory of Everything?
Yes, 100%. That's the only reason that I'm drifting that way. But I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna stick with Einstein.
I read a book about black holes. It all had to do with the theory of relativity. Once again, even though I was wrong last time, this was all in Oppenheimer. We did it.
All right, we were both correct. All right, this is the last question. How many places in Ireland have city status? 12, 5, 19, or 10?
I think it's... Oh, shit. I really don't know.
I have no idea. I never would have even thought to have known this.
No, because I was going to say I thought it was all like... Whatever you call them. I can't even think of that word.
Municipalities?
Yeah, something like that.
Towns?
But I'm like, oh no, yeah, like Dublin is a city.
Right. So we know one.
So at least one. I hate to just... I'm sticking with it. I'm going to say 5.
Oh my god, that's what I want to say too. It's the same logic that backfired on me during the Russia question, but I think it's the lowest number possible. And it was.
Huzzah. So
all right, so that adds 4 points to my score and 3 points to your score.
Back up by 2.
17-15, Evan.
I will catch you.
We're getting there.
I will catch you one of these days. We're going to have to start just writing down our answers. Answering separately.
Oh, and then like hold them up to the camera. I don't know how strong my webcam is for that. But to be fair, I differed from you on one of them that you answered first. So it's you just have to trust that our two bald dork brains work pretty similarly.
Yes. Dan Harmon will lead you to the correct answer. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Baroque. Baroque. Bye. Baroque.
There it is.
Landed.
Whoop.